Welcome to the show, Elisa. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. How are
Yeah.
you?
Tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Alicia Disantis, and I am the owner of 38th and Kip Studio, which is a dual branding and design studio.
Okay.
Celebrating 15 years in business this year. So, founded it during the Great Recession while in grad school in Chicago, and it's been plugging along ever since.
Awesome. So, what was your accidental agency owner moment? Like, how did it lead to you creating the agency?
Getting my first student loan bill a month before I was to get my graduate degree, and having applied for over 100 jobs and not being able to get even a callback to design a used car flyer.
Wow.
And just in my frustration, I started taking odd jobs and interning. I mean, the amount of stuff I did. I was a video game character artist because I have an art background. So I was doing the concept art for the some of the first mobile games on cell phones. I was a comic book artist for the a black vampire series, a
Nice.
werewolf vampire series, but all set in an urban environment, and all of the characters are black. So just is, I'm sure a lot of people watching and listening, a very unique tapestry of creative roles that led me to just say I should do this in some capacity on my own.
What'd you charge your first client?
$200.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the work I did was free then too, because that was the days of unpaid internships.
Oh, yeah.
So especially in big cities, I worked at a graphic design agency my senior year of college, and it was entirely unpaid. I would take the train down there. It was 10 below. Take the train, walked through downtown Chicago, work at the agency, pack my lunch.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and then what changed over the years from going from $200 project or free to 200, and then building an agency. What's changed?
Yeah. So I really think it's just the organic evolution that comes with getting older and getting more confident. And a lot of folks that come to agencies, they don't know what they don't know. And I think just across across all first world countries, there's a undervaluing of marketing and creative services. So folks tend to think that things cost a lot less than they actually do, whether that's buying a painting or getting a portrait of your family or a logo or a marketing strategy. So I found over the years a combination of educating them on how much these things actually cost to get it done right, and also having the confidence to say no, or to give them a price that you may feel a little nervous about. They're might going to say no, but believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And that just takes time in a lot of
Yeah.
cases.
How do you educate people on what it should be rather than what they have in you know, their head of going, oh, that Nike swoosh, that's really easy to, design. Like my kid could draw that.
Yep. Yep. That's the age old stereotype, right? I could do that. When you go into an art museum, I could do that, or I could design that. One of the things I found works best, and I found this to be a trend just across a lot of areas I work in with business development, is explaining it in a way that they can understand in other services. So, plumbing, uh, legal services, real estate, home inspections, all of those things that they are quality expert level services that you usually don't argue back when someone comes to you and says it's going to be $250 for legal counsel. We're trained to think of those types of STEM services as being non negotiable. But with the arts, we have this propensity to think that everything's negotiable. So really framing it in a way that you wouldn't hire someone for $5 online if you had a civil case that you had to go to court for against your neighbor or something. And taking non-creative situations and applying it to what they know.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's and it's also at the end of the day too, it's about saying no to the people that can't even understand that part.
Yep.
There'll be some people, I'll be like, well, I'll just have my cousin design it. I'm like, good luck with that. Or, you might be asking the wrong question. You're asking like, why is it so much? But you should be asking the question, why is everyone else so low? And
Exactly.
you don't really kind of value the time that it's going to take. You might be able to get to the end result that I was able to create for you, but you're going to spend way more time with this smaller agency or this designer than you would with me. With me, you're going to require about this much time. With everybody else, it's this much time. So how much do you value your time, when creating, something? And then most people get it. Then the dumb ones, I'm like, yeah, go use that.
Yeah. I found that to be especially true with websites. If new businesses want to really cut corners with a website, and so they'll just hire someone they know. I've had so many clients that their business is completely halted because that person disappears. They didn't give them the right credentials. They didn't update WordPress and something breaks. So oftentimes I never try to lead with fear, but explaining those types of scenarios too of what could happen if you go the cheap route, it can really be disastrous.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I want to jump into kind of, can you tell the listeners about how do you leverage, the power of, your thought leadership or educational content that you create as kind of a growth engine for your agency?
Yeah, absolutely. So, thought leadership is one of the key areas I found significant success in, both for my agency and for a wide swath of clients I've worked for, from individual consultants all the way to larger startups with 350, 400 people. So, the key to producing thought leadership content, because I think most folks by now know it, having white papers, having videos, uh, FAQs, things like that are really important. But what I find is that they don't do enough research to understand what the people want to hear about or where the education gap is in the space. And that I just encountered this the other day, actually. There was a white paper that was just like clickbait. It didn't actually give you any takeaways. It didn't tell you anything that you didn't already know. And when you do that, then it really dilutes your trust. It dilutes their trust in your brand. So if you're going to produce thought leadership content as part of a growth or awareness strategy, you have got to make sure you understand, I'd say, 4 key areas of who you're marketing to. That one is, what is their motivation? I use the same framework with brand personas. 2, what are their pain points? 3, which I never see this one, is what is their level of literacy within what you're talking about? So let's say you are an agency that is trying to capture more of a financial services, more community banks, more credit unions, which is what I do. If you write a piece of thought leadership content to attract them, so let's say an email campaign or something, but you're speaking marketing language to people who may not have that same level of marketing literacy, it's going to instantly patronize them and make them feel dumb. And no one purchases anything when they feel dumb, right? Or if you dumb it down too much, then they feel like it's not a relevant, not a valuable piece of content.
Yeah.
So you have to pinpoint how much they know about what you are trying to give to them for it to really work. And it can be really hard sometimes, but unlocking that key level of literacy is critical.
And then
And
what's
then
the
the last
fourth?
one's communication style. So how do they get information? Do they want long form? Do they want audio? Do they want bullet points? Do you want to send them a bunch of text reminders? Like, well, how do they best interact with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's so many people. I mean, still to this day, it's kind of funny in our mastermind. It's kind of almost like a drinking game where we don't drink during the mastermind. We only drink after hours. But you're right. Like whenever I
I
say,
don't judge regardless. So hey, whatever.
you're like, as you take a sip of
Mm-hmm.
so-called coffee,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, what's in that coffee cup? That's what I want to know. But there's a constant game of when I say like you got to create a podcast, because I feel like that's one of the best educational and also entertaining thing that you can do for your audience, of speaking to them, especially just interviewing them and highlighting someone else on your show, where you just have to be curious. When we started this show 12 years ago, I was just curious in chatting with other agency owners, and I just wanted the listeners to be kind of a fly on the wall. And then, yeah, if they associate me to thought leadership, great. If not, hopefully they enjoyed the content and go from there. But doing the podcast has been the number one thing. But the thing that I see is a lot of mastermind members will fight us for a couple years, and then they'll finally do it. And they'll be like, why didn't you beat me up to do it quicker? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I did. But you did it now. So I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work, but like with most things with marketing and sales, the payoff can be really, really powerful.
Yeah. And it's a
And it
long-term
only takes
payoff.
one listener.
Yeah. Well, and it's a long-term payoff, honestly. Right. And I think because anybody can start a podcast, it's very easy. Right. And you can do a couple episodes, but I think I read a stat where less than 1% actually make it past 10 episodes or something.
I just wrote an article on this. Less than yes. Not, like 7% make it to episode 3.
Okay.
And then of that 7%, only 1% make it past episode 23.
That's crazy.
So it's like a fraction of whatever 1% of 7% is to actually, get to that point where you really start seeing progress and getting views and you're known, right? You get known. It takes a long time. Unless you have the most incredibly viral content and you're interviewing Oprah or something, no one's really going to care about the first few.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think people listen to the show for an entire year. Like the first year. I really don't.
Yeah.
But, we were consistent, and now, we have a really big audience that listens to it, twice a week. And, I can't tell you how many people have reached out after listening to the show for a couple years. Like we always ask a question when someone joins the membership or when they join the community, like, why'd you invest and what are you excited about learning? Almost always, why did they invest? They've been listening to the show for a couple of years.
Interesting.
Right? Like, I mean, it's a huge moat, especially in my world, right? Like you go on Facebook or Instagram, how many ads do you see about the stupid kid in the Ferrari or Lambo talking about how he built his agency? Right? I'm like, okay, that's fun. But like, let's talk real agency stuff. Let's do foundational stuff rather than kind of, the Ty Lopez's of the world, right? Like he just would show a Lambo to get your attention. And then some of his stuff was good, but I still don't like that type of person, but
yeah. I mean, and going back to your question about thought leadership, one thing I am extremely intentional about is anything I produce and anything I'm a part of, there has to be key takeaways, like actual tangible things that they may not be able to do them today, but things they can write down or take that screenshot of the slide, right? And be like, okay, now I know. Because a lot of times we just get in our own bubbles talking, and we're not actually talking about anything that they know how to translate into a real tactical action plan.
Yeah.
So I think too, if we're talking about thought leadership from a growth perspective, having those tangible activities that you can provide to folks really helps them feel that your content's valuable.
Yeah. And I think you just have to be yourself too. I think when people start creating content, and that's why I always tell people do a podcast, because you don't have to worry about video right away. Like, I think you should do
Right.
video like we're doing. And, honestly, with my show, like when we put this episode on YouTube, it'll get a couple hundred views on YouTube, but it will get over 40,000 downloads on audio in the first month. Right? Like, the huge difference. But it's a way to find your voice for your brand. And I want all agency owners to build their own brand, their personal brand, rather than the agency. And that was a big mistake that I made. I mean, you should still build your agency brand, but people are going to trust you. Like, one of the things that we started doing a couple months ago. So every Friday, me and a buddy, we take off and we go do we call it Epic Friday.
I love that.
Right.
I love that.
And it's
very Colorado. Very Colorado.
Yeah. And so we'll climb a mountain, we'll go in the desert, we'll go do something stupid that most people will never get to do. And I went to him one day, I was like, man, we should film this. Cause we're always talking about business too, like as we're doing stuff. And he's laughing at me falling down or almost getting caught in an avalanche or whatever it is. Like, we're laughing at each other as long as we survive. And so one of the new shows that we're going to, that we've put out is called Epic Friday. And it shares the experience of us doing something epic and then just talking about business on the way. And like, you just got to do something that maybe someone else hasn't done, or do something like that, but then make it your own.
Yep.
And then you can stand out, versus all these other people renting a Lambo and, hey, look at me.
I know. And that, as someone who is a brand strategist through and through, that's one of the hardest things, I think, among any business owner, is how do you find your unique personality and your unique value proposition and talk about yourself. I mean, even to me, it brings me stress. Let's say I were to go to an agency owner networking group. It's like, how do you we all want to be different, right? Yeah. It's like, how do you stand out in a sea of people that likely are as good as you in their own way? And this is something I teach with my clients, in commoditized services. So insurance, people selling it for, home insurance are very commoditized, real estate, things like that. But for agency owners, it's like, how do you talk about what you do in a way that no other agency owner can talk about that? And I think so much of the time there's fear of being different, especially in the social environment we live in, of saying the wrong thing or being seen as different. And that's kind of what you have to do, though. You kind of have to be silly and unique.
Yeah. That's the one question I always hate when I go to I'm speaking at a conference or someone comes up to me before I speak and they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a horse jockey. Like, it's like, I hate that question. It doesn't, like, we're defined by, and when I sold the first agency, I was depressed afterwards because I defined myself as an agency owner and now I sold it. So I sold myself. And that's really one of the things that when I see agencies or when I'm, mentoring people going through that process or buying agencies, like, that's one of the hardest things is, like, they feel like they're selling themselves versus, looking at themselves as creative, innovative, adventurous, whatever it is. Like that's who you are, not what you do. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times I always tell agencies as well, is like, it doesn't matter what you do. It's like, who do you help? And like, what's the outcome? Right. Like,
Right.
years ago, I was helping a nonprofit agent or an agent, the agency was a profit company, but they were helping nonprofit. Um, and they were like, we do websites for nonprofits. I'm like, that's so freaking boring. Like, I want to just, bash my head against the table. But I was like, well, what do you do for them? Well, we get them more members, donors, and volunteers. I'm like, okay, well, that's what you say. I help nonprofits get more members, donors, and volunteers. Or, like one of my favorite social media accounts to follow is the Savannah Bananas, or Jesse, the owner, dresses up in yellow. I was in a mastermind with him many, many years ago. And this goofy laggy dude comes in a yellow suit with a yellow hat. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Only like 10 years later, they're blowing up. Like I like to watch that more than Major League Baseball. God, Major League Baseball is so fucking boring unless it's the World Series Game 7.
They even sped it up now, and you still think it's
Oh my
boring.
gosh. Yes. I'm just like, snooze. I'm out. Right. But the Savannah Bananas, I'm like, all right, cool. Are they going to dance? Like, what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how can we do that with your agency? And just be unique.
It's hard. I tell my clients it almost is impossible to do on your own, is to discover your own like unique value proposition and your own personality. I equate it to tickling yourself. Like, you can't do it. You need someone else. Even if you're the best brand strategist or best agency in the world, you cannot internally. You cannot. Can you tickle yourself?
No, I can't.
No, yeah. Awesome. I mean, I guess some people can. I don't
know. No. If you listen to the podcast and you can tickle yourself, let us know.
Yeah, let us know, because
that could get dangerous. That could
it's like a split personality thing.
Yeah,
like multiple personalities. You can tickle yourself. I digress.
I love that.
You really need to have.
Though. I'm going to go up to people like, can you tickle yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have outside expertise, because you just can't do it on your own. Like, I had another brand agency help me when I rebranded back in 2020. So you got, and again, you got to invest in the good stuff. You got to find the experts that are really going to help you understand what makes you unique.
Yeah.
And because people really, it's hard out there. It's a tough economy. It's tough. It's marketing. Every agency I know has had a tough year. I don't know anyone that's said this 2025 has been awesome.
Oh, I can't wait for this fucking year to end.
I'm like counting down. So I'm celebrating Yule. I'm like, really, this is my second year doing the 12 days of Yule.
What's Yule?
The first one, it's like an ancient Druid Celtic pre-Christmas celebration where every day you do something nature inspired, like leave apples out for animals or light a candle for your ancestors or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's way better than the Festivus for the rest of us.
so my podcast co-host, and he's a very good friend of mine, he's Jewish, and so we're always making fun of each other for he's a Canadian Jew and I'm an American whatever. So it's a constant banter on our podcast, not taking ourselves too seriously.
That's awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time coming on our show and helping the listeners and chatting with me. And for everyone listening, if you guys enjoyed this and you don't ever want to miss on all our episodes that we have, make sure you subscribe. And if you guys want to be around other amazing agency owners that may be able to see things a little bit different, because it is hard to do things alone. And you want to be around other cool agency owners, make sure you go to agencymastery.io. And until next time, have a swank day. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.